The complete works of Swami Vivekananda, Jnana Yoga, Chapter 15, The Real and the Apparent Man, Part 4. He is the whole universe. Either say he is the whole universe, or say that to him there is no universe. How can he have then all these little ideas about sex and about country? How can he say, I am man, I am a woman, I am a child? Are they not lies? He knows that they are. How can he say that these are man's rights and these others are woman's rights? Nobody has rights. Nobody separately exists. There is neither man nor woman. The soul is sexless, eternally pure. It is a lie to say that I am a man or a woman, or to say that I belong to this country or that. All the world is my country. The whole universe is mine because I have clothed myself with it as my body. Yet we see that there are people in this world who are ready to assert these doctrines and at the same time do things which we should call filthy. And if we ask them why do they do so, they tell us that it is our delusion and that they can do nothing wrong. What is the test by which they are to be judged? The test is here. Though evil and good are both conditioned manifestations of the soul, yet evil is the most external coating, and good is the nearer coating of the real man, the self. And unless a man cuts through the layer of evil, he cannot reach the layer of good. And unless he has passed through both the layers of good and evil, he cannot reach the self. He who reaches the self, what remains attached to him? A little karma, a little bit of the momentum of the past life. But it is all good momentum until the bad momentum is entirely worked out and the past impurities are entirely burnt out. It is impossible for any man to see and realize the truth. So what is left attached to the man who has reached the self and seen the truth is the remnant of the good impressions of the past life, the good momentum. Even if he lives in the body and works incessantly, he works only to do good. His lips speak only benediction to all. His hands do only good works. His mind can only think good thoughts. His presence is a blessing wherever he goes. He is himself a living blessing. Such a man will, by his very presence, change even the most wicked persons into saints. Even if he does not speak, his very presence will be the blessing to the mankind. Can such men do any evil? Can they do wicked deeds? There is, you must remember, all the difference of pole to pole between realization and mere talking. Any fool can talk. Even parrots talk. Talking is one thing and realizing is quite another. Philosophies and doctrines, and arguments and books and theories, and churches and sects, and all these things are good in their own way. But when that realization comes, these things just drop away. For instance, maps are good. But when you see the country itself and look again at the maps, what a great difference you find. So those that have realized the truth do not require the ratiocinations of logic and all other gymnastics of the intellect to make them understand the truth. It is to them the life of their lives, concretized, made more than tangible. It is as the sages of Vedanta say, even as the fruit in your hand, you can stand up and say, it is here. So those of you who have realized the truth will stand up and say, here is the self. You may argue with them by the year, but they will smile at you. They will regard it all as child's prattle. They will let the child prattle on. They have realized the truth and are full. Suppose you have seen a country and another man comes to you and tries to argue with you that that country never existed. He may go on arguing indefinitely, but your only attitude of mind towards him must be to hold that the man is fit for a lunatic asylum. So the man of realization says, all this talk in the world about its little religions is but prattle. Realization is the soul, the very essence of religion. Religion can be realized, but are you ready? Do you want it? You will get the realization if you do, and then you will be truly religious. Until you have attained realization, there is no difference between you and the atheists. The atheists are sincere, but the man who says that he believes in religion and never attempts to realize it is not sincere. The next question is to know what comes after realization. Suppose we have realized this oneness of the universe, that we are the one infinite being, and suppose we have realized that this self is the only existence, and that it is the same self which is manifesting in all these various phenomenal forms. What becomes of us after that? Shall we become inactive, get into a corner and sit down and there and die away? What will it do to the world? That old question. In the first place, why should it do good to the world? Is there any reason why it should? What right has anyone to ask the question? What good will it do to the world? What is meant by that? A baby likes candies. Supposing you are conducting investigations in connection with some subject of electricity, and the baby asks you, does it buy candies? No, you answer. Then what good will it do, says the baby. So men stand up and say, what good will this do to the world? Will it give us money? No. Then what good is it then? That is what men mean by doing good to the world. Yet, religious people, religious realization does all the good to the world. People are afraid that when they attain to it, when they realize that there is but one, the foundations of love will be dried up, and that everything in life will go away, and that all the love will vanish for them, as it were in this life and in the life to come. People never stop to think that those who bestowed the least thought on their own individualities have been the greatest workers in the world. Then alone a man loves when he finds that the object of his life is not any low thing, mortal thing. Then alone a man loves when he finds that the object of his love is not a clod of earth, but it is the veritable God himself. The wife will love the husband the more when she thinks that the husband is God himself. The husband will love the wife the more when he knows that the wife is God himself. That mother will love the children more who thinks that the children are God himself. That man will love his greatest enemy who knows that that very enemy is God himself. That man will love a holy man who knows that the holy man is God himself. And that very man will also love the unholiest of men, because he knows that the background of the unholiest of men is even he, the Lord. Such a man becomes a world mover for whom his little self is dead and God stands in his place. The whole universe will become transfigured to him. That which is painful and miserable will all vanish. Struggles will all depart and go. instead of being a prison house where we every day struggle and fight and compete for a morsel of bread, this universe then be to us a playground. Beautiful will be this universe then. Such a man alone has the right to stand up and say, how beautiful is this world. He alone has the right to say that it is all good. This will be the great good to the world resulting from such realization that instead of this world going on with its friction and clashing, if all mankind today realize only a bit of that great truth, the aspect of the whole world will be changed. And in place of fighting and quarreling, there would be a reign of peace. This indecent and brutal hurry which forces us to go ahead of everyone else will then vanish from the world. With it will vanish all struggle, with it will vanish all hate, with it will vanish all jealousy, and all evil will vanish away forever. Gods will live upon this earth. This very earth then will become heaven. And what evil can there be when gods are playing with gods? When gods are working with gods and gods are loving gods. That is the great utility of divine realization. Everything that you see in society will be changed and transfigured then. No more will you think of man as evil. And that is the first great gain. No more will you stand up and sneer away, casting a sneering glance at a poor man or a woman who has made a mistake. No more, ladies, will you look down with contempt upon the poor woman who walks the street in the night, because you will see even there God Himself. No more will you think of jealousy and punishments. They will all vanish, and love, the greatest ideal of love, will be so powerful that no whip and cord will be necessary to guide mankind all right. A 1 millionth part of the men and women who live in this world simply sit down and for a few minutes say, you are all God, O ye men, and O ye animals and living beings, you are all manifestations of that one living deity. The whole world will be changed in just half an hour. Instead of throwing tremendous bombshells of hatred into every corner, instead of projecting currents of jealousy and of evil thought in every country, people will think that it is all He. He is all that you see and feel. How can you see evil until there is evil in you? How can you see the thief unless he is there sitting in the heart of your heart? How can you see the murderer until you are yourself the murderer? Be good and evil will vanish for you. The whole universe will thus be changed. This is the greatest gain to society. This is the greatest gain to the human organism. These thoughts were thought out, worked out amongst individuals in ancient times in India. For various reasons, such as the exclusiveness of the teachers and foreign conquest, those thoughts were not allowed to spread. Yet, they are grand truths. And wherever they have been working, man has become divine. My whole life has been changed by the touch of one of these divine men, about whom I am going to speak to you next Sunday. And the time is coming when these thoughts will be cast abroad over the whole world. Instead of living in monasteries, instead of being confined to books of philosophy to be studied only by the learned, instead of being the exclusive possession of sects and of a few learned, they will all be sown, broadcast over the whole world, so that they become the common property of the saint and the sinner, of men and women and children, of the learned and of the ignorant. They will then permeate the atmosphere of the world, and the very air that we breathe will say every one of its pulsations, Thou art that, and the whole universe with it, myriads of suns and moons, through everything that speaks, with one voice will say, Thou art that.